Welcome to Chronicles of Legends. Today, we're going to try to answer the question, what is historicism according to Karl Popper? If you'd like to receive more philosophy in your inbox each week, subscribe for free at our website. Popper, one of the most important 20th century philosophers, was a proponent of what's called the scientific method. He believed that the primary goal of all science is to make predictions about what might happen in the future. To achieve this, scientists need to find general laws that explain what has happened in the past. He also thought that the best way to find these laws is through the process of trial and error, testing hypotheses against the facts and then revising them in light of the evidence. One of the ways he distinguished the social sciences from the natural sciences was by arguing that the former are characterized by what he calls historicism, which he contrasted with what he calls psychologism. Historicism is a way of thinking that defines the goal of the social sciences as being the prediction of future events based on an understanding of past events. For Popper, historicism is the defining feature of the social sciences. This is because it sets them apart from the natural sciences, whose main goal is not prediction, but rather the discovery of universal laws that explain how the world works. According to Popper, historicism is a method which derives its justification from the fact that we live in a world that changes. But it's a method that takes no account of our ability to change the course of events by our actions. In other words, if we want to understand human history, we must take into account that humans are capable of changing the future, and we cannot do so by simply trying to identify the patterns of the past. In this video, we'll first look at the features of historicism before moving on to consider some of the problems that Popper identified with it. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. Historicism as a philosophical position emerged in Germany during the late 19th century. Its main proponents were Wilhelm Dilthey and his student, the philosopher and sociologist Max Weber. It had a major influence on the way we think about the social sciences, and it still has many supporters today. For historicists, understanding human history requires taking into account the unique features of each situation and the particular context of what is happening. They emphasize the importance of studying the particular historical event in its own right, and they reject the idea that we can reduce everything to a few simple laws. They argue that each situation is unique and that the only way to understand it is to study it in detail, taking into account all the relevant facts. Historicism is usually contrasted with what's called a reductionist approach to the social sciences. This is an approach that tries to reduce everything to a few simple laws that apply in all situations. For example, one of the earliest attempts to apply scientific methods to society was made by Auguste Comte, who argued that sociology could be based on a single law, which he called the law of the three stages. This law states that societies go through three stages of development, which are the theological stage, the metaphysical stage, and the positive stage. As societies progress through these stages, they become more rational and more scientific in their outlook. Comte believed that this law could be used to predict how societies would develop in the future. Popper contrasted historicism with what he called psychologism, which he associated with another approach to the social sciences that was popular in his day, namely behaviorism. Behaviorism is a philosophical position that says that psychology should be the study of observable behavior. Its main proponents were thinkers like John Watson and B.F. Skinner. Popper argued that this approach to psychology was flawed because it ignored the fact that humans have thoughts and intentions that can't be observed directly. Popper believed that the central problem with historicism is that it makes the mistake of assuming that the laws that govern human affairs are the same as the laws that govern nature. He pointed out that this is problematic because humans aren't like inanimate objects. We have thoughts and intentions, and we're capable of changing the course of events by our actions. One of the key differences between the social sciences and the natural sciences, according to Popper, is that in the latter, laws are universal, while in the former, they are not. For example, the law of gravity says that all objects will fall to the ground if they aren't acted upon by another force. This law is universal, which means it applies in all situations. However, the laws of human society are not universal. They depend on a number of factors, such as the particular historical circumstances and the intentions of the people involved. For example, the law that an accused person is innocent until proven guilty only applies in certain legal systems. It doesn't apply in every situation, and it depends on a number of factors, such as the particular legal system in question and the specific circumstances of the case. Another key difference between the social sciences and the natural sciences is that in the latter, laws are constant, while in the former, they change over time. This is because human affairs are constantly evolving, and what might have been true in the past might not be true in the future. For example, the law that a king is entitled to absolute power no longer applies in most countries. This was once a widely accepted law of human society, but it's no longer relevant in the modern world. This leads us to the next point, which is that the laws of human society are not absolute. They're based on human conventions, and they can be changed if people decide that they should be changed. This is unlike the laws of nature, which are absolute and can't be changed by human beings. This is because the laws of nature are discovered, whereas the laws of human society are created by human beings. Another problem Popper identified with historicism is that it can lead to determinism. Determinism is the view that all events are caused by prior events and that nothing happens by chance. Popper argued that this is a problem because it leaves no room for human freedom. If everything is determined by prior events, then we aren't really free to make our own choices. Instead, our actions are simply the result of prior causes. Popper believed that this is a problem because it undermines the notion of moral responsibility. If we aren't free to make our own choices, then we can't be held morally responsible for our actions. Finally, Popper argued that historicism is self-refuting. This is because the argument that everything is determined by prior events can't be applied to the justification of that argument itself. For example, suppose someone says that everything is determined by prior events and that nothing happens by chance. We can ask where this belief came from and what caused it, but ultimately, we can't go back infinitely. At some point, we need to stop and say that this belief just happened to occur to this person, but that's not an explanation, it's simply a statement of fact. Therefore, Popper concluded that historicism is self-refuting. Despite these criticisms, historicism remains a popular approach to the social sciences, and it continues to have many supporters today. This is because it offers a way of understanding human history that takes into account the unique features of each situation and the particular context of what is happening. Furthermore, historicism is appealing because it offers a seemingly plausible alternative to the idea that human beings are the product of deterministic laws beyond their control. So those are some of the key features of historicism and some of the problems that Popper identified with it. Do you agree with Popper's criticisms of historicism, or do you think that historicism offers a valuable perspective on the social sciences? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. Thanks for watching.